As the woman's terrified gaze locked on the distance, a nuclear bomb detonated in an instant, and the shockwave rapidly devoured everything in its path. It was just a low-budget film, yet it laid bare the selfishness, violence, and greed of human nature in a post-apocalyptic world without holding anything back. And the ending, steeped in despair, left countless viewers reflecting deeply. When humanity is stripped away completely, even if you manage to survive, does that life still hold any meaning? Now, the main story begins. Eva was petrified by the scene before her, and Sam quickly pulled her towards the downstairs. The entire apartment building trembled under the immense shockwave, and the crowd frantically pressed together trying to rush out. But the next second, the wave was upon them, and they turned back in panic, sprinting toward the basement. A man was just about to close the iron door, but with so many people outside, he had no choice but to let them in. Seeing even more people behind, the man used every ounce of his strength to force the iron door shut. The group that had escaped into the basement was still shaken, and from this moment, all the main characters were gathered here. Eva and Sam, brothers Adrian and Josh, mother and daughter Marilyn and Wendy, drifter Bobby, and doorman Delvin. And finally, the original owner of this basement, veteran Mickey.
Not exactly the Garden of Eden.
Mickey sealed every gap with tape to keep out the radioactive dust. As the host, Mickey laid down the rules, and the first was that no one could open the door until the fallout had dissipated. It was clear that everyone was intimidated by Mickey's aura. Suddenly, another loud noise came from above. When Mickey turned the lights back on, everyone wanted to know what had happened, and he guessed it was the building collapsing completely. Wendy wanted to leave, but Mickey said no one could go now. Not only that, he told Wendy about the terrifying changes the human body undergoes after radiation exposure, frightening both Marilyn and her daughter. Eva pulled out her phone, but there was no signal. She asked if anyone else's phone worked, but it was the same for all. Delvin took out a radio to try contacting the outside world, but the result was still nothing. Mickey gave them a tour of the basement's basic setup, but when Bobby saw the crude toilet, he felt sick and wanted to use it quickly. Eva asked what the room next door was for, and Mickey warned that it was his room, and only he could enter. Then Mickey brought out his stash of canned food to treat everyone. In such conditions, canned goods they once scoffed at became delicacies, and everyone devoured them hungrily. 2 days passed in a blink, and Delvin still hadn't given up trying to reach the outside world with his radio. Little did he know, this act would completely expose their location, and they would soon pay a terrible price.
29th and 5th. I repeat, the northwest corner of 29th and 5th. Do you copy?
Josh couldn't sit still any longer, and he called Adrian and Bobby to leave with him. This, however, crossed Mickey's bottom line. He grabbed an axe and chased after them, forbidding anyone from opening the door. Now, everyone understood Mickey wasn't joking, but this act of confining them also angered Josh. However, with Mickey armed, they couldn't fight back. Mickey then spoke of how, when the atomic bombs were dropped on Japan, people's skin peeled from their bones, their faces mangled beyond recognition, living in a state worse than death. After Chernobyl, people were covered in growths, with lumps as large as grapefruits beside their necks. Mickey shared these horrors to warn them. If radioactive dust got inside, they would all meet their end. That finally quieted everyone down. The monotonous days dragged on, and they tried various ways to pass the time. While chatting, Sam broke down. He thought sitting there was just waiting to die. How long could they survive on Mickey's canned soybeans? Clearly, the oppressive atmosphere was wearing away his sanity. The next second, the world fell silent. Mickey gently comforted Wendy, telling her everything would be fine, even using magic tricks to amuse her. But just as the mood eased, a thunderous noise came from outside the door. Everyone stood up in excitement, thinking rescue had finally arrived. But Mickey sensed something was wrong and told them to turn off the lights. Suddenly, sparks from cutting tools lit up the iron door, and the group's hearts surged with hope. As the sparks died out, the door slowly opened, and a flare was thrown inside. Mickey immediately realized danger was coming and quickly backed away. Several armed soldiers in hazmat suits stormed into the shelter.
Okay, we're civilians, all right? Okay. Whoa, what are you doing? What's your...
It was obvious Adrian had misjudged. They were definitely not allies. These soldiers didn't speak. They just picked up Wendy, turned on a light to check her teeth, then injected her with an unknown substance and placed her in an isolation bag. Marilyn tried to fight back but was knocked down with a rifle butt, and a warning shot followed. They could only watch helplessly as the soldiers took Wendy away. Bobby suddenly flipped the table, and everyone seized the chance to run deeper inside, scrambling to hide. The soldiers followed close behind with their guns raised, and everyone's hearts pounded in their throats. Unfortunately, one soldier quickly spotted Eva hiding in the bathroom. At this critical moment, Delvin grabbed a stick and smashed it hard against the soldier's head. Mickey wrestled with another soldier who had come to assist. As expected from a veteran, close combat was second nature to Mickey, and he swiftly took down the enemy, then grabbed the rifle and shot the soldier. Without hesitation, he rushed to help the others. Just as Sam was about to lose his life, Mickey fired a shot and blasted the soldier's oxygen tank. He quickly ran outside and slammed the iron door shut again. This time, they secured it tightly with a heavy chain. Adrian had been shot during the recent chaos, but fortunately the wound was not fatal, and under Delvin's guidance, they managed to remove the bullet, so his life was not in immediate danger. Everyone felt relieved to have escaped death once again. Afterward, they brought the soldiers' bodies inside. Delvin pointed out that they were wearing hazmat suits designed to protect against radiation. When Delvin tried removing one of the helmets, they realized it was impossible to tell what country the man was from just by his face. At that moment, Marilyn frantically wanted to go out to save her child. Seeing this, everyone hurried to stop her, locking her in the storage room to calm down. Through the radio, Delvin overheard voices outside saying they were conducting a full sweep, and the voices had an American accent. Mickey told him to turn off the radio immediately, reminding him that it was this device that had drawn the enemy to them. Then Delvin noticed a sausage in Mickey's pocket and accused him of hoarding better food while giving the bad food to everyone. Mickey quickly claimed he only had a few left and reminded them that this was his territory, and Delvin had no right to make demands. It was clear the oppressive environment was starting to affect everyone's state of mind. Only the kind-hearted Eva went to check on Marilyn, but the woman, having lost her child, was drowning in grief. Delvin suggested they should go out to rescue the child, but Mickey said it would be suicide. Only Josh agreed, volunteering to go. With everyone's help, he put on a hazmat suit stripped from one of the soldiers. As the iron door slowly opened, the scene outside surprised them. Josh held his rifle and carefully stepped forward. It looked like the place had been transformed into a biochemical laboratory. Walking through a long corridor, he saw many soldiers in hazmat suits, seemingly engaged in some kind of horrifying experiment. Fortunately, Josh was also wearing a hazmat suit and didn't attract their attention. Soon, he found Wendy locked inside an experimental chamber. But at that moment, a soldier spotted him. Josh shoved the man to the ground and fled in panic, managing to kill 2 soldiers in a wild burst of gunfire before losing his weapon in the chaos. Now, he only wanted to get back to the basement as fast as possible. Mickey opened the door and Josh dashed inside, clearly terrified. Everyone wanted to know what he had seen, and he told them there was no rescue outside, only soldiers of unknown origin. This completely shattered Marilyn's last hope. Even worse, after the incident, the soldiers welded the iron door shut from the outside. Now they had no way out, and everyone sank into deep despair. In the days that followed, the lack of proper nutrition began to cause physical deterioration in Josh. Meanwhile, under Eva's careful care, Adrian's injury gradually healed, and a quiet affection began to grow between them. It turned out that, before the apocalypse, Adrian had lived downstairs from Eva, and every night she would fall asleep to the sound of his guitar, unknowingly developing feelings for him. This made Sam, who secretly liked Eva, jealous. As days passed, the 2 soldiers' bodies began to rot badly, and in the enclosed space, the stench became unbearable. Everyone regretted not throwing the bodies out when Josh had gone outside. Mickey said there was another way, to chop the bodies up and dump them into the septic tank. He pulled out an axe and asked if anyone wanted to volunteer. Not wanting to seem cowardly, Bobby stepped forward to do it. But when he actually saw the corpses, his mental defenses collapsed completely. After forcing himself through a long moment of mental preparation, he finally began. 10 minutes later, Bobby emerged with the axe. It was obvious his mind was no longer entirely stable. At least the source of the stench had finally been dealt with. One day, the group made a shocking discovery. Mickey was not only a veteran, but had also been a firefighter who took part in the rescue efforts during the 9/11 attacks. In the past, he had a happy family. At that moment, Mickey returned and furiously scolded everyone for entering his room without permission. They explained they were just bored and wanted to relax for a while. After all, in such an oppressive environment, with nowhere to release the pressure, things could turn dangerous. Marilyn sought pleasure with Bobby, and afterward they even tried to involve Eva, which terrified her. Even worse, water and food supplies were running low, and everyone suspected Mickey was hiding provisions from them, sparking a fierce argument. Clearly, his actions had provoked widespread anger. They were all curious. Mickey hadn't lost any weight after so many days, so he must be secretly eating more. Delvin took out his taser, already scheming in his mind. When Delvin snuck into Mickey's room, Eva happened to see him and followed out of curiosity. Delvin pointed the weapon at Mickey, forcing him to open the storage room door, but the inside was too dark to see anything. When Delvin lit his lighter, he was stunned, and Mickey took the chance to fight back. From outside, Eva saw everything clearly and quickly called for help. By the time the others arrived, all they saw was Delvin lying dead. Mickey claimed Delvin had threatened him with a gun and that he acted in self-defense. No one believed Mickey, so they joined forces to restrain him. But the storage room door had a password, and when Bobby suggested using extreme methods to make Mickey talk, the others tried to stop him. Now that Josh and Bobby had taken control, no one dared to resist. Josh told Eva to hand over the gun, but Eva, being smart, knew letting them have full control would be disastrous, so she quickly threw the gun into the sewer. With no choice, Josh and Bobby decided to torture Mickey for the password. But Mickey was tough. No matter the threats, he refused to speak. Seeing this, Josh actually went so far as to try to cut off Mickey's finger. Eva couldn't bear to watch and tried to stop him. In the end, they could only watch as Josh severed Mickey's finger. Mickey finally broke and gave them the password. When they opened the storage room, they were stunned. It was filled with supplies, shelves stacked high with canned food and water. Bobby, after getting his way, even taunted Mickey with Mickey's severed finger. From then on, without Mickey's restrictions, they ate whatever they wanted, living in indulgence. Marilyn's body began to deteriorate from excessive indulgence, and she bled. Eva kindly offered her water to clean herself. But Josh, as the new leader, saw it as a waste of resources.
I said, get off of me!
Now, Josh and Bobby looked at the broken Marilyn with disgust. Sam couldn't stand it and handed Marilyn a piece of clothing to cover herself. Josh, however, kept uttering vile words. Adrian couldn't tolerate it anymore and angrily reprimanded him. It was clear that the last remnants of humanity here were slowly dying out. Eva couldn't take it anymore. She felt that this supposedly safe basement was even more terrifying than the world outside. She banged on the iron door in desperation, wanting to leave. Sam came to comfort her, but he too had ulterior motives, and soon tried to take advantage of her. Eva shoved him away in anger. Even Sam's mind was now showing cracks. Worse still, they began abusing Marilyn, and even Adrian could no longer stop their madness. When food started running out, Josh suggested Eva trade her body for rations, but she refused. Then one day, things took a turn. While bringing water to Mickey, Eva learned a shocking secret. There was a gun hidden in the storage room. Eva planned with Sam to retrieve it and turn the situation around, but instead of helping, Sam betrayed her and sided with Josh's group. After Bobby taunted and pressured him, Sam, wanting to prove he wasn't a coward, picked up an axe and approached Delvin's corpse. It turned out Sam really didn't have the courage, so Bobby forced Eva to do it, threatening to break Sam's arm if Eva refused. With no other choice, Eva swung the axe down onto Delvin's corpse. In that moment, Eva's beliefs collapsed completely. She felt this bunker was worse than hell itself. Josh and Bobby had shaved off all their hair due to radiation sickness, making them look even more frightening than before. That day, a new turn of events finally arrived. Eva learned from Mickey the exact location of the pistol, and Mickey also told her there was actually another way out of the basement, through the sewer beneath the toilet, but she would have to swim through the waste to get out. Eva went to the storage room to steal the pistol, but she was cornered by Josh and Bobby. There, she also saw Marilyn, who had been abused to death. Fortunately, Adrian arrived just in time, allowing Eva to escape, though she now had to come up with another plan. Eva pulled out the electrical wires, plunging the entire place into darkness, then pretended to obey Josh, luring him out. Sam took the can while Bobby wasn't looking, but he didn't hold it steady, and the pistol fell out, catching Bobby's attention. Sam got hold of the pistol, and Eva took the chance to run. Everyone soon gathered in the main hall, but at the critical moment, the cowardly Sam was swayed once again and shot Adrian. Sam was immediately overpowered by Josh and Bobby. Seeing the situation, Eva rushed to untie Mickey. At this point, Mickey was the only one in the bunker who could still be considered sane. Fortunately, Mickey still had a pistol hidden in his pants. He shot Josh. In rage,
Are you proud of yourself?
Josh knocked over a kerosene lamp and flames erupted instantly. But Eva no longer trusted anyone. She slowly backed away as she watched it all unfold. Mickey sensed something was wrong. Eva closed the storage room door, trapping everyone inside to die, then quickly put on a hazmat suit. No matter how Mickey begged, Eva didn't waver for a second. She grabbed a pile of canned food, smashed the toilet, and slipped into the sewer, struggling to survive as she floated through the waste. Mickey and the others eventually perished in the blaze, yet having escaped one hell, Eva seemed to have entered another. Once thriving New York was now nothing but ruins. And how long could she survive in such an environment? The film ends here. The Divide, a small-budget movie released in 2012, uses a survival crisis in a sealed space to sharply deconstruct the essence of human nature and social order. Its metaphor far deeper than the surface-level disaster narrative. In the film, the basement becomes a human nature laboratory stripped of societal rules. When the restraints of law, morality, and ethics in a civilized society are shattered by extreme conditions, primal survival instincts, plunder, possession, and violence are laid bare. This is not a denial of the goodness in human nature, but a revelation of how essential civilization's constraints are in curbing destructive impulses. Once external norms vanish, groups can easily descend into savagery. Here, Divide carries a double meaning: the physical isolation of the basement from the outside world and the emotional isolation between people. The survivors go from initially huddling together for warmth to later suspicion, division, and mutual harm, showcasing individual self-enclosure under extreme pressure. It is not just spatial isolation, but the loss of trust and empathy. And this spiritual isolation can be more destructive than the physical damage of a nuclear blast. In the film, the group forms rules for mutual survival, only to see them crumble when personal interests take priority. Some sacrifice others to save themselves, while some abandon their moral boundaries in despair. This conflict directly confronts a timeless question of human society. When collective interest clashes with individual survival, will so-called justice and morality become casualties? In the end, the film offers no answer, but leaves an oppressive finale that forces a cruel reflection. The light and darkness of human nature may be two sides of the same coin, and the true purpose of civilization is to use rules and empathy to hold the line against falling into the dark. All right, see you next time.